Today is March 13th of 2024. We've been beekeeping for almost a year now. Woo! Look at all my bees. So today we are planning on putting this box back onto the hive. Now you may be wondering, why did I take the box off in the first place? So the whole reason of why I took it off and gave them only the 2 boxes is because when bees go into winter mode, their colony usually shrinks a little bit. So it's really hard for them to keep as much space warm, because if we look at this box and we look, oh hey, look at the frames. As you can see, they put a little bit of propolis, but there's no, let me pull one out real quick. It's not letting me pull one out. You can see there's no comb in there. It's completely empty. No comb. And since there's no comb, they're not up here, so it's just taking up space, so it's taking up heat. So, in a moment, we're gonna have the hive back on. Here's my plexiglass sheet. I don't know if you can tell. There's a little bit of sweat right there from all the moisture that these guys are doing, because every time they breathe, they're letting out a little bit of moisture in their breath, and that tends to condense on top. So right up here on this little thing, if I move it real quick, you can see there's a little hole in it. I have this little grate above so that it can let out the moisture but keep the heat down through my wick. If we look at this thing, this burlap, I stole this guy from Vino Farms. Link will be down in the description below if I remember. But like, some of this is dry, but a lot of this is very wet, which is exactly what we want to see. We want to see this absorbing the moisture, but we want to keep the heat down, and that's exactly what it does. I forgot to do the snap last time. Whoa, how did we get here? So now we have the burlap back on top, and as you can tell, like this is dry and this is wet right here. That's exactly what you want to see. So I built this hive myself with a church member. So this is a pine exterior for a lot of our insulation, and our insulation basically means it's very good at keeping heat or cold out, keeping whatever temperature it is on the inside in. And then right underneath this tape is high insulation housing foam. It comes in bricks. I have a whole bunch more in my house for if I want to build another box for this. This up here, this box is a shallow. These two are deeps, so this doesn't hold that much honey, but at least it's more room to prevent them from swarming, because I need to give it another month before I can split this colony until they fill up this top box a bit. And then I can split it. And you can see I put the plexiglass sheet right back in there. So plexiglass, vent, wick. That has a vent. If I don't remember if I showed this to you guys. I have a vent there and a vent there, so the air can go straight through and take out all the moisture. We keep all the heat in. And because it's been raining a lot here, as you can see, there's a bit of a puddle right there. So because it's been raining a lot, but we're also getting a ton of sun. Look at that sucker. It's been quite warm. These guys are just working away. Because water plus sunlight makes nectar. Makes kind of sense. Flowers need water to live and then produce nectar. Look, we got like flowers right there. There's a whole bunch of flowers over there. And just beyond this tree line, which you can't really see it, but this only goes back half an acre, and then it drops down, and then there's just fields of clover. My grandpa owns a ton of fields of clover right out there. I've shown it before. You can go back into one of the shorts. There's a ton of clover over there, and then this right here, this area itself is probably like 13-ish acres, 15-ish acres, according to my grandpa, and the bees will work it. If there's any clover flowers up in there or any wildflowers, sometimes we get wild horseradish, these bees will work it. Oh, look at that. It's got all the boxes on it now. Look at that. It's so fancy and cool and pretty. So if you guys ever wanted to know what my hive setup looks like, I got that. And that area is overgrown, but I don't have anything there. That's what I like to put my lids on. That container I leave right there most of the year, basically all year. And it keeps all my equipment dry, so my gloves, my smoker, my hat. Oh, I still have my bee net on. I don't need this. These things are dirt cheap for if you want to get into beekeeping, and they get the job done. That little tool can stay right in here out of the rain. That thing was in the rain all year, all winter, and it's completely fine. And these things, even though they kind of get it like a little moist in there, a little damp, not too bad. These glass jars I'm gonna have to put up the rest because I accidentally let the lids rust, and so I need to clean them off. But I have a whole bunch of glass jars at home. If you ever want to start keeping bees, just save any glass jars that you get from like either jams, jellies, baby food, like all those little jars. They may not seem like a lot, but that is both honey storage, and if you ever need to feed them sugar water during the winter, you already have a variety of different jars, so you can either rotate them daily, or if you want to give them less, you can still fill the jars because they're different sizes, or if you just want to fill the jars with honey, like what I did when I did my first harvest, because I accidentally did my hive too small. But as you can see if my camera can pick it up, Oh, you can't really see the bees from here. Oh, you kind of can. I'm pretty far away now. Let's see if I can zoom out. Whoop! Yeah. So yeah, they just kind of hang out in the garden. These are apple trees, so you know they're starting to bloom. They'll work these. Maybe it'll taste a little bit like apple. Probably not, because bees, they're a hive mind mentality, which means if one bee decides to work wildflower, most likely all the bees are going to start working wildflower. So it doesn't really make sense to have like a varietal garden, but at the same time they still will. And this is a shed I put up so you guys can see all my bee equipment in it. This must be my mom. That pallet's for me. I don't know what the heck's going on back there. But yeah, we got plenty of gardening stuff. But I don't know if I've shown this off recently. These boxes right here are 10s. I'm gonna have to turn these into swarm traps soon. Those ones are gonna hold my colonies because those are all 8s. So colonies in those, swarm traps in these. So I need to take these and put them in my car so I can prepare them for the winter or for the season. I'm gonna be using a swarm trap bait. I'll show you guys it later at my house, maybe if I remember to put it in. But yeah, like keeping bees is, you know, very expensive because all this equipment cost me like the shed alone cost me $800, which I bought it for a birthday gift for myself and my mom. So like that's my stuff, that's my mom's stuff. So my mom can use the garden and store her stuff inside sheds instead of just on the cement slab that this is on. You can't really see it, but that little wood thing has a cement slab behind it, and then I put pallets, and then I put plywood. So it's kind of like subflooring. So if I ever need to rip out parts of it, it's not glued straight down basically. But yeah, because right before, just stayed on this and was just getting rained on. Now this is fairly weatherproof. I need to come back in a few months and caulk it a whole bunch with caulking. So as you can see, there's a little bit of water damage right here because this roof isn't perfect because I didn't measure it out perfectly. So there's a little bit of gaps like right up in here where a little bit of water can get in every once in a while. But for the most part, like I had a box chilling here for a month or two, and you can see that some of the moisture was condensing on it. But it keeps things fairly dry. This is my swarm trap that I made myself. Look at a different video. Spare bee equipment, tons of frames that I've already got built. These are empty frames right here, and that's about 100 that I need to build. Those are shallows, I'm pretty sure. No, these are my extra deeps. These are my custom extra deeps. That's right. And like I just keep a ton of bee equipment, farming equipment. So like I have a ton of bee stuff. Like I said, these 10 framers I'm gonna take, and I might show you what I'm gonna do with them. Probably not, but yeah, these are gonna be my swarm traps. So basically, I'm just gonna take like these two. I'm gonna stick them together, and then I'm gonna put a hole through one of them, and that little silvery spin dial that you saw on it, I'm gonna put that over it, and then I'm gonna hang these in trees, and then spray a chemical inside of them that smells like lemongrass, so that when they swarm, they'll smell it and they'll want to move into this because they'll have like I'll put a couple of dead bees and stuff in it and wax so that it'll smell like bees, so that they'll want to move in. Just a little bit of an update. So I only have 3. I forget what the proper term. I think it's called telescoping lids, or telescoping calibers. 1, 2, 3, and I wanted to put up 5 traps, and I have enough to do a whole bunch of these small ones. But the thing is like with these mediums and shallows, apparently they don't like them as much as the deeps. So 1 deep is like perfect space. So I got 1 deep, 2 deep, and then 2 mediums, or like a medium and a shallow. I think these 2 are mediums. I'm just gonna stack the 2 mediums together. I'm gonna glue them together, or I probably won't glue them. Probably just stick them on top of each other. And then because this one's got a flat surface, this one's already got an opening, and then this one I'm gonna drill a hole in. I'm only gonna need 2 of these. Yeet! I'll put that away in a moment. I have so much. There is a mouse living in that one because I saw a mouse nest. And when I was putting the frames back in it, I heard a little squeak. And I'm like, oh, don't worry, it's fine. The frames don't weigh that much. I just didn't like that I got bumped. There's a whole mess of frames there. I got a ton of frames, so I don't have to build any frames this year.